Great morning, great morning. Sheri is singing, but she won't allow me to sing. That's not nice.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Well, I can't sing. Why can't I sing?
Holidays.
Happy
Why you
holidays.
so loud?
Happy holidays to you. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brooksons, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Super excited to have you guys coming on in. Do me a favor, let us know where you're tuning in from.
Good morning,
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Listen, I want you guys to do us a huge favor. We're going to go live on Instagram. If you are on Instagram, do me a favor and tune in to our Breakfast with the Brookses channel on Instagram so that you can help keep that community engaged. We're getting ready to go live now to Instagram, and we're going to come back to YouTube. Guys, welcome Instagram. What's going on? What's going on? What's up, George Hawkins? Good to see you, sir. Hey, Michonne. Good to see you guys. We're live now on Instagram, and so do me a favor, guys. Tag this out. Share this with as many people as you possibly can. And welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. What's happening? How's everybody doing? Y'all good? Y'all good? Y'all good? Sheri's trying to get everything squared away today, guys. I just want y'all to do me a huge favor. Chime in and let us know what's the temperature in your city. What is the temperature in your city?
It's cold here.
What is the temperature in your city? Because it's just not even right. I think it is 22 degrees here in Virginia Beach, something like that.
It's cold.
It is not even cool. So what's going on?
It's colder than it's supposed to be here.
Absolutely. What's going on Instagram? Hey, what's up, Debbie? Debbie Morris, what's up, sweetie? Long time no see. Good to see you. I'm glad you are jumping on. Debbie, can you believe it? Sheri and I getting ready to come up on 21 years in a row next month. Deb, it actually lasted that long. Can you? No, Debbie knew me when I was a nut job. So
acting up, it won't make it to 22.
See, why you got to be mean? That's
If
not.
you're talking about it actually lasted.
No, I'm only playing. You know, I'm playing, baby.
Hey guys.
No, I say that because you and I both don't even try it. We both were like, we don't know if this is gonna last.
I'm messing with you.
Okay, don't start no stuff. I know that's right. Thank you, Debbie.
Don't be so serious.
Thank you, Debbie. She said, I remember when. What's up, Handle? Good to see you, brother.
He was special.
Good to see you. Yeah, I was more than special. So, guys,
Good
listen.
morning, guys.
We got
Good
Randall
morning,
on the
good
line.
morning,
21 degrees. Good Lord. It's 21, 20 to 30. Okay.
What is it, 37 here? Karen, okay.
Karen said it's 37 degrees here in Virginia Beach. Michonne said it's 25 in Baltimore. Randall said it's 21 degrees. I think he's in Upper Marlboro. Guys, it's cold.
It's winter.
It is winter. Today, isn't the day, first day of winter? I think today is the first day of winter.
Today is.
So welcome winter. Winter is definitely coming in like it's supposed to.
And thank you for joining us for our annual weather broadcast this morning.
So today, the weather in this... So listen, guys. For those of you guys who are just jumping on, we're super excited. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. We get the opportunity every Saturday morning to come on live and share some tips, strategies on how to grow your relationships. And I think the thing that qualifies Sheri and I particularly, one, I was married for 12 years prior to Sheri. She was married twice before me. We have been there and done that, so much so that we wrote several books about it. So as authors, as speakers, as relationship coaches, our goal really is to add a dope amount of value to people, Sheri, and help them not go through what we've gone through. And that's one of the things that we love about Breakfast with the Brookses. So if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel,
please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
And ring the bell.
You can ring my bell. Ring. See,
so that you can get notifications when we go live
hater.
When we post new
hater.
videos.
Somebody's a hater.
Thank you guys for your well wishes. It's been a rough past couple of weeks. We both have been sick. I was particularly down. Well, we both were really, really down last week.
Mm-hmm.
This
but you had it
cold
worse than I did.
Virus, whatever it is, just doesn't seem to want to go away. Feeling much, much better
much
today.
Better.
Still have some, effects, congestion and stuff, but feeling much, much better. So thank you guys for all of your prayers.
Yep.
Over the last couple of weeks.
Definitely.
Also, today is a special day.
Why is it a special day?
It's a very, very special day.
Today is a special day according to Sheri. I want to hear what this is about. I didn't know about the special day.
Today's a very special day.
What's so special?
You don't know what today is?
Do you know what today is?
It's not that. No,
it's
not our anniversary.
Well, baby, you talking.
You don't know what today is?
Well, I do know this.
What?
You are minutes away from graduating from college.
Today is my last day of coursework.
She thought I forgot.
Once I submit my last paper today.
Yes. It will be over.
It will be over.
So Sheri, you gotta help people out.
I will have a bachelor's in psychology.
Yes.
Which has been a journey to get as an adult.
Oh my Lord.
Back to school.
Oh my Lord. It has been a journey.
Let
me tell you why I'm so proud of you.
I should have went to college when I graduated.
Listen, if you are young listening to this and you got the opportunity, do it. The younger you are, the better.
You get older, the memory ain't working.
You're trying to figure this out. Why are they asking me all these questions, right?
And they want you to remember it, and the classes are condensed.
God bless your heart.
Learn all this stuff in a short period of time.
See, that's why I chose not to go. I'm not messing with you. Listen, just watching her, I'm saying I ain't. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have your degrees. I am the dumbest person in our family.
You are not dumb.
My daughter. I am the least intelligent person in our family.
You are the least educated.
I'm the least formally educated.
Thank you.
My daughter has 2 masters. She's getting her PhD. Sheri's got 2 degrees. And I got 0. So we're all even. So I'll just try and keep writing books and speaking, and hopefully we'll all meet in the middle somewhere. Listen, guys, if y'all are ready for today's content, hey, Mike Cullen, good to see you, brother. Thanks for jumping on with us. Fire behind the edit scene that Mike did last night on his YouTube channel. That was really good. If you guys are creators of any kind, you want to go follow my guy, Mike Cullen. He is our shooter, our videographer. And he does a weekly live every Friday night called Behind the Edit, where he takes you behind the scenes of how creatives think. And he's an introvert, so it's a real interesting sort of exchange on how he comes outside of himself. So that's just a quick plug for him. But I want to talk about vision today, baby. I want to talk about vision. One of the things that I think that is particularly challenging in most relationships, and we'll get a little serious for a second, is how to get out of your head and bring what you see in your head into fruition, or into the real world, if you will. And I think that unfortunately a lot of people, they look at relationships, and what we find ourselves doing, quite honestly, I think, is envying what other people have as opposed to envying what they did. I want y'all to put that in the chat. It's a human thing. I'm not throwing shade. I'm not throwing nobody under the bus. I've done it. We all done it. Where I'll look at somebody and I'll aspire to have what you have, but I won't aspire to do what you did.
Right.
And I think that that's what we're talking about. We're going to be launching a training program next year, first Tuesday of the new year, in our MAPS Relationship Academy. And we're going to call it Visioneering Your Relationship. And we're going to teach people how to prepare for the different storms that come in relationships and how to weather them, because you've built something that'll withstand it. Go ahead.
Right. And I think one thing for me this year, for those of you that maybe follow me online or that follow me on Facebook, and realize that this last year I've been on a health journey, on a journey to lose weight, on a journey to be healthier, to live a healthier lifestyle. And the thing that I've tried to lose weight before, I've tried to switch up my diet and adopt more healthy habits in the past, and was not successful. And the thing that made the difference for me this time, one of our dear friends, one of our clients, in our business builder training in the MMC masterclass, Rick Childs made a comment, because I was posting and I was saying that, it was my goal to do this. And he was like, a goal is basically something that you just say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do.
Accomplish.
Something I'm trying to accomplish. But when you make that goal a mission and there's something behind it, it's a mission. It's attached to something more. It helps you to achieve it more. So my mission became, I want to live a healthier lifestyle, because I want to be healthier so that I can be it for my grandchildren. Yeah. So that I can be more actively involved, so that I can get back to doing some of the things that I used to do. Outdoors things, just being healthier. Right. Just being much more healthier. And that also ties into what we're going to be talking about, the series we're going to be starting in January within our MAPS Relationship Academy, which is talking about vision. When you have a vision, it's being able to, the first step is creating the vision. Where is it that you're trying to go? But that vision has to be attached to, I believe, a mission, because it has to be something driving you to that vision.
Exactly.
And so once you have those components in place, then you're able to succeed, because there are steps to get that done. But oftentimes what we do, like Glenn's saying, you'll say, I have this goal. I want to have a happy marriage like Cliff and Claire Huxtable.
Right.
I want to have a relationship like that. I want to have a family like that. That's your goal. But you don't have a real mission driving you to that. What is the real? You just see it and, oh, that's cute. I want to do that. That's not a mission. That's not a real goal. That's just something you like. Oh, I think I want to do that. But if there's a real mission attached to that, and if you develop a vision for how to get there, then it can be accomplished.
So one of the things I want you guys to say, put in the chat, is that vision, right? Listen to me carefully, is generally birthed out of a pain point. Vision is generally birthed out of a pain point. There's something that you're going through that's causing you to be burdened in a certain area, so much so that it causes you to move. And so the question becomes, what breaks your heart? When you think about your relationships, the status of your relationship, we're going to talk a little bit about status quo today and how we are often caught up with the status quo and we embrace it as if it should be normal. It is normal, unfortunately. But in many cases, it shouldn't be normal, right? And so what happens is, guys, is that if you're not careful, you won't focus on developing a vision for something. You just go after what you see. And let me tell you what I know to be true, particularly with relationships. When you lose sight, but you have vision, you can always get the relationship back on track. Many people are in relationships, marriages, even as a parent. A lot of times, or maybe even a relationship with your parent, you lose sight of what's really going on here. And I'm going to submit that most often it's that you've lost your vision. Because I can lose my sight, but if I have vision, I can stay on track with what we're doing.
Right.
And so I need you guys to put in the chat to answer this question for me. What breaks your heart? What burdens your heart in relationships? If you're married, what breaks your heart? When you see this thing done, it causes you to move to want to fix it or to want it to be better. What burdens your heart in your parenting relationship? When you see this thing, it burdens you to want that to become better. Do me a favor, put that in the chat real quick so that we can have a quick conversation about it. Come on, babe.
And one thing, you just in hearing you say that, and you're describing what vision is, and that you may lose your sight, but if you have a vision, you can get back on track. Vision gives you direction.
Yeah.
Vision sets the course for where you're trying to go. If you never have a vision in place, you just driving around in circles, or you just, you just going all over the place. Right. There's no direction that you're going in.
Absolutely.
But if you have a vision, you're always going east.
Yeah. Or
you're always trying to go east. You're trying to get east. So it's like I can't from Virginia Beach, I cannot get to Florida if I get on 95 North.
Right. Can't be done.
I don't care how long I drive on 95 North or 85 North or anything else north.
Right.
I am not going to get to Florida.
Right.
And so, but if I don't have direction, if I don't have a vision saying the vision is for us to get to Florida, we're going to retire in Florida.
Absolutely.
But I'm driving to Canada.
Right. It's not happening. Teresa put in the chat, she said, seeing my kids not getting along breaks her heart. IG, y'all do me a favor. Put it in the chat. Let us know what breaks your heart in relationships. Nikkei said family disunity. Right? So that means, Nikkei, when you see that your family is not connected or not unified, that breaks your heart. That there's a burden in your heart to see that become better. When we launched this training series on Tuesday, January the 7th, I believe that is, in our MAPS Relationship Academy, we're going to teach you guys how to visioneer what it is that you want, how to build a vision to get what it is that you want. When you and I got married, and we were joking around at the beginning of the broadcast about how we literally did not think that we would work.
No, we did.
And I was joking, but we were very serious because prior to each other, we had never seen that happen.
Right.
And we were very honest with each other about our fears concerning the longevity of our relationship, which I think lent to us speaking into existence what burdened our hearts, what was breaking our heart for our relationship.
Right, and I know we both have been through divorce personally, You also experienced divorce as a child.
In terms of my parents being divorced, yes.
My parents are still together today, but I did not see their relationship as a flourishing relationship.
Right.
And so there were things that I saw in their relationship that went along with the status quo, some of the things that we're going to talk about today, that I knew that I did not want those things. I wanted to change those things in my relationship for my relationship to be a healthy and successful relationship, and I realized those were some things that needed to change.
Yeah.
And so when we got together, because we had these past experiences, we realized that, what our vision was for our relationship was something totally different from what we had experienced.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing that I realize now is that I don't know, it's not the Generation X, whatever, like people in their 30s.
You're talking about,
that's 40s and below, pretty much have experienced a lot, because the divorce rate has increased over the years. And so a lot more people now are experiencing being raised in single parent homes, are the product of divorce. And now more and more young adults that are getting married, walking into marriage saying, we are not getting divorced. They have a vision for what they want because they've experienced that.
Right,
and I think that oftentimes, even though they may have that, they need to learn the tools, what to put in place to not be able to repeat. It's one thing to say you don't want to repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
But you have to have a clear, they have not a vision, they have a goal that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for them to create
a
clear vision to be able to achieve that, there are some things that you need to do.
Yeah.
And so the burden the thing that burdens their heart is that they don't want to go through or have their children go through what they've gone through. So they have that component. Then there are other things. Okay, once you have that, what do you do with that? How do you make that real?
Right.
Go ahead. It
It
goes back to the whole, I see that you did this. Claire and Cliff Huxtable had this great relationship. Their family was awesome, amazing.
Right.
She's a lawyer, he's a doctor, all this, but are you willing to do what they did? Because they showed them from a certain point in their life.
Right. They didn't show the struggle that led up to that. And so that's how TV will mess you up. So one of the things I want to interject real quick and kind of set a tone for where we're going. We're going to recap just a little bit for those of you guys who weren't on last week. And I want to talk to you a little bit about 4 things that vision will do. And for those of you guys who were on the call, I want you to chime in as well last week. This is part 1 of this. And I'm just going to recap just a little bit. If you want to hear this in its entirety and us break these things down, do me a favor, go catch the replay that's on our YouTube channel. But there are 4 things that vision does. And one of the reasons why people can see something but not get there is because there's not a plan to get there. So the problem is that they're, and I think what you were saying is it's not enough just to see it. Mm-hmm. It's not enough just to see that's what I want. That's not enough. And so once you understand this, it'll make sense. So number 1, vision always evokes emotion. Put that in the chat. Mm-hmm. Vision evokes emotion. Vision evokes emotion. When you have a vision for something, it will make you feel some type of way.
Right. You're passionate about it.
And that's what I want you guys to understand. So when I say evokes emotion, there's a passion that's birthed out of you that causes you to wake up, that causes you to do some things maybe a little bit differently than hoping and a wishing and a praying that something happens. It will move you. Number 2, vision provides motivation. And so that kind of goes hand in hand with evoking emotion. Mm-hmm. It'll actually motivate you to get out of the bed and go to the gym when you've created a vision for a healthier lifestyle, as opposed to seeing yourself losing weight.
Right.
Does that make sense? So that's very, very different. And I think that unfortunately what most people like to do is we all like to sort of fellowship with this notion that, and dream, if you will, about what could be. But the problem is those dreams often will turn into nightmares when they don't come to fruition.
Right.
Especially in a relationship. That's the stuff to make you want to quit. Mm-hmm. You got anything you want to add to that? No. Okay, so number 3, vision also sets direction. Put that in the chat. Sets direction. Put that in the chat. Sheri alluded to that a little bit earlier, guys. When we talk about setting direction, most people, when they approach relationships, they allow the relationship to dictate the direction of where they're going in the relationship. So when I say that, in other words, the feelings of the relationship,
Right.
the status of the relationship. What is it that you're doing? Maybe where you work. How did you meet? You allow everything outside to sort of dictate where that relationship goes, as opposed to having a vision first that will set the direction for it.
Right. So as a single, if you're a single individual and you know that the vision for your life is for you to get married one day, you that's a vision. You want to get married.
Right.
You aren't dating just to be dating, just to be
Right,
chilling
just
with
to be,
somebody.
yeah.
You ain't trying to just be hanging out.
Netflix and chill.
And so for you, when you start dating somebody, you're already on a course. You're going in a certain direction. And so for you, if you see that other person that you're dating, if they're not going in the same direction as you, you're able to identify that because you have a vision. But if you don't have a vision, if you just like, hey, I'm just out here, I'm just dating, if it happens, it happens.
Right.
I don't
We
really,
just having fun.
we just having fun. You'll look up 5 years later, you still in a dating relationship, and you like, hey, I wanted to get married.
Absolutely.
And now you coming to them and be like, so when we get married? They be like, we never talked about
We
marriage.
never talked about that. Why
What makes you think I want to get married?
What
I mean,
makes
we cool the way
right.
we are.
What's wrong with what we're doing?
So, because there's no clear vision for the relationship set in the beginning, and I'm not saying when you first meet somebody, hey, hi, how you doing? My name's Sheri. I want to get married.
No. IG, did y'all hear that? Listen.
I'm not saying do that.
She said, don't do that.
My goal is to get.
I just wanted to let you know.
I just want to let you know.
In case you were wondering,
my vision.
I have a vision to get married.
To get married.
And I'm just
If
trying
you're
to figure
not in line
out
with that vision,
what is your vision.
Right. No,
you-
I'm not saying do that. But
We're
over
not
the
saying
course
that.
of your dating,
Right.
and it shouldn't be a year later.
Right.
But that conversation should come up as like, so where do you see this thing going? My hope and actually the older you are, it shouldn't even take a year.
No. I'm saying
to
3 to 6 months tops.
To have that conversation, be like, my vision for my life is for me to be, I want to get remarried, or my vision is to be married. My vision is not to just be somebody's girlfriend.
Right.
And so is that the direction we're moving in, that you see us moving in? If you don't, if that's not your vision, great knowing you.
Right.
It's been fun.
Right. But I'm not interested in that. And that's because your vision, again, and remember, it evokes passion, or it evokes emotion, guys. And so you should be passionate about the fact that, well, I'm not doing this. In our group coaching session, particularly for singles, we had one young lady that said, she said, I'm not interested in going a day over 6 months dating somebody, and this is not going anywhere, right? And that was birthed out of some things that happened, in her past, and it's going to kind of shape that. But here's the beauty of that. I need y'all to hear this. What it does is it causes her not to waste her time on purpose. Now, it doesn't necessarily, and most people won't come to a relationship with their vision in mind because of their insecurities of the relationship coming unglued. Right. But I'm gonna help y'all out. I can't wait till we start working on this visioneering piece, because here's what I'm gonna promise you: you want that in the room.
Right.
If this is not gonna go the way your vision you envisioned it, you want it to end.
Right, because you're wasting
the quicker
your time
the better.
Their time.
And so what I don't want people to do is necessarily lead off with that, because you don't give a chance for it to grow. And we're going to get into all of those details. But eventually that has to be brought up. And there's a way, a systematic way, an approach. And we'll talk about those kinds of things that you should take. And I think that, there's a time period, a shelf life on things that causes you to know that you've hit a certain mile marker in the relationship and that it's progressing, but that we both are on that same page.
Right. Remember how I used to check
Lord
in with
Jesus.
you?
Cherie used to check in with me on a regular basis, y'all, talking about what we doing.
So what is this?
So what is this?
So what is this we're doing?
What are we doing here? And I remember one time I said, well, we just friends. And you was like, great.
Okay. Well, somebody else asked me to go out, and I'm going to go out with them since we're just friends. That's cool.
Now, y'all know
I ain't mad at you. I've enjoyed our time together.
But I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I ain't mean that.
That's all you want us to be as friends?
No, I didn't mean it like that,
then
though.
we would stay friends, but know that there's
wait,
someone
hold
else
up.
that's interested in me that's looking to go somewhere else.
Time out.
So I'm gonna
time out. No, that's not, I ain't mean it like that.
No, but you just said we're just friends.
We
And
are.
so that's fine.
We are friends.
And that's fine.
And
I enjoy our friendship.
I do too, and I want it to continue.
Okay, well, we can continue to be friends.
But I don't
I'm
want
gonna
it to
go out.
continue it with you dating somebody else. I want
Well,
us
that's
to.
not a friendship.
Well, then let's talk about what.
So what is this?
I'm not sure yet,
Well,
but I want to figure that out.
Well,
Can you give me a minute to figure that out?
Well, what do you mean by a minute?
Okay, y'all hear me backing her down off of the idea of pushing me quicker than I needed to be pushed. However, she boundaried me into having that conversation. And that's what doesn't happen in many cases. The conversation is never had. So here's the challenge. Now you have this unmet expectation of what you want, and you're hoping that that's what they want, but there's never been a conversation, Instagram. And the truth of the matter is that you are the culprit for not communicating what it is that you want. And when that happens, you leave the room open, or the door open for assumptions. And then, like me, I'm all jammed up because I'm saying, wait a minute, I assumed that you was doing what I was doing and we was good. But when we had that conversation, here's what changed: the parameters of our relationship. I quickly got on board with what do I want and what do I don't want. Let's have that conversation. What we want to teach you guys is how to do that on the front end.
Right.
How to come into relationships with that understanding and be able to have a healthy
And
dialogue.
at least you know that.
And at least, exactly, for yourself to know exactly.
Right.
That's right, Teresa. Friends, how many of us have them? Yes.
Right. No, I was laughing because I remember there was a young lady that was dating somebody. This was years ago. And she wanted their relationship to progress. And so they never had the conversation. They hadn't had the conversation. They just chilling. I don't know what, they was talking.
Right. Yeah. Do they still say that, y'all?
We
talking.
talking.
Well, what y'all talking about?
But they was talking friends with benefits.
Right.
And so he would never, when they would go out, he would always introduce
we go
her.
together. But where y'all going?
Yeah, right. I mean, he never introduced her as, this is my lady, this
Right.
is my
What's up,
significant
Pino?
other. It's just, this is, this my girl, this my friend, whatever. And so there was never a title associated with it. So for her, she started leaving bridal magazines around the house whenever he would come to visit.
Child.
And her thought was that, well, if he sees these, he'll know that I'm thinking about this.
Right.
And so I think it was Valentine's Day or something, and he was like, I got something really special planned. And she's all in her mind, oh, God, he's going to propose. He's going to pop the question. And I think he gave her a friendship ring or friendship bracelet. Now, this is a 35-year-old woman. I'm like, number one, I'm insulted if you give me a friendship ring and I'm 35. I'm a grown apple woman.
A grown apple. Pino.
I don't want no friendship ring.
Did you hear? She said, I'm a grown apple woman over here.
Right. We not in the 7th grade.
Right.
Give me no friendship ring.
Ain't nobody got time for all that talking.
And she was traumatized. And
Right.
I was like, well, what made you think that this was going to be something different? Well, I mean, we've been together for a year and a half.
And so I thought.
And I was like, but are y'all really together?
And that's the question.
She was like, well, I mean, we hang out all the time and we spend a lot of time together.
Right.
And, I'm not seeing nobody else. I don't think he's seeing
See,
anybody
talking about you don't
else.
think. See, that's what you get for thinking. Guys.
I've gone to family functions
Right.
with him. I was like, okay, and if he hasn't introduced you as his significant other, that's you're making assumptions.
So, guys, what I want y'all to do, we're talking about, for those of you guys who are just jumping in, Sheri went down memory lane somewhere.
I'm trying to lighten things today.
I know it is. I know it. And I'm not trying to lighten things because I need people to understand where we're going. So we're going to have to exist somewhere in the middle. So here's what I want y'all to know. Remember, vision does 4 things. 1, it evokes emotion. 2, it provides motivation. 3, it sets direction. And number 4, it translates purpose. And I think that, unfortunately, Pino, for those of you guys on Instagram, if you guys are on YouTube, I want y'all to lean in on this one for me. I want you to hear this really quickly. When it comes to translating purpose, the problem is that relationships generally exists. Most people's relationships, they exist in silos.
Right.
They exist sort of a detached from things that are bigger than the relationship.
Right.
And I think that if you're ever going to build anything of significance, it is going to have to be something that has to do with something that's bigger than you and bigger than the relationship. So when you and I go through something, Sheri, one of the reasons will cause us to hang in there, and after 21 years, things are better than they were 21 years ago. Our communication is at a level that it's never been at.
Right.
Our ability to connect and ebb and flow and vibe and go back and forth, it's at an all-time high because we have a purpose that our relationship is connected to that's bigger than us.
Right, right.
And so part of what we're doing right now with Breakfast with the Brookses, part of what we do with our MAPS Relationship Academy, the reason we write books, the reason we've done all the different things, the reason we give so much value is because our relationship serves that purpose. Does that make sense? So I want y'all to understand that. I want to go and we can lighten it up a little bit more because this is going to be fun. I just wanted to get through that recap. Sheri she is like 20% flamingo. And today she is operating at 100% of her, and I'm about 28% turtle, and I'm operating at 100% of my turtle. But because my turtle outweighs your flamingo, I'm winning. So I just want to let you know. So anyway, real quick, put in the chat status quo, status quo, status quo.
Status quo.
I need y'all to engage this part of the process because we've got a couple of things that we view that are considered status quo in relationships.
Let's ask them.
And I want you guys to begin to chime in, whether it's in a dating relationship, a marriage, maybe a parenting relationship. Begin to chime in now. What are some things that are considered status quo? And with that being said, I want to read one thing to set this whole thing up so that you guys understand. Listen to this, guys. Vision is born in the soul of a man or a woman who is consumed with the tension between what is and what could be. Anyone who is emotionally involved, frustrated, brokenhearted, may even be angry about the ways things are in light of the way that they believe things could be, is a candidate for vision. Visions form in the hearts of those, listen to this, who are dissatisfied with the status quo. Vision is vision is formed in the hearts of those who are dissatisfied with the status quo. And so when you're dissatisfied with the status quo, you're a candidate for vision to begin to grow in your relationships and in your space. So what I want to know, Instagram, what I want to know, YouTube, what are some things that you consider to be status quo in relationships? And should that birth a vision for something different? So let's go ahead and go. So a couple things we wrote down. I want to hear what you guys got to say. But go ahead and share with me, babe.
Okay, so one thing that relationally
Hey, Carla.
is a status quo mindset is that couples argue.
Okay.
They're supposed to argue. That if you guys don't argue, there's something wrong.
That's the status quo.
That's the status quo, that you're supposed to argue.
You're supposed to have knockdown, drag-outs. Things are supposed to go to the level where people are in the doghouse. Y'all supposed to fight and fuss and argue because that's healthy. I've heard that.
Right.
That is status quo for so many people in their relationships. And I believe that status quo should be changed.
Right. Another status quo, and this one is one we didn't write this one out, in regard to parenting, is that at 18 you're out of here.
Right. You got to go.
You got to go.
You got to go.
You got to go.
18, you gots to go.
You gots to go.
Whether you're prepared or not.
At 18, you out.
Because at this point, it's my turn, and you got to go. And
and the other piece of that is that when they turn 18, you're no longer a parent.
Right.
That's the mindset that feeds that.
Right.
So that's a status quo mindset.
Right. So again, we're talking about what do you think you see, maybe it's in your relationship, maybe it's something you see in other people's, that people just embrace as status quo. And the reason why is because visions form in the hearts of those who are dissatisfied with the status quo. Sheri and I became dissatisfied with the status quo that says that we should argue.
Right.
We became dissatisfied with that. And the reason why is because we both understood in our relationship what arguing did in previous relationships.
Right.
I'll use a biblical term, strife.
Right.
When there's this tension, where there's this arguing going back and forth, I never seen anything good be birthed out of arguments. Now, I'm not talking about disagreements. They're very different. I believe that you can disagree agreeably. I believe you can agree to disagree. Right. I believe that there's a way for you to come to a common ground without it elevating to the place to where there are screaming matches and emotions are flying all over the place, and before you know it, you're saying things that you cannot get back.
Right, you can have a healthy debate
all day long
without it being a heated debate. There's a difference.
Absolutely, and when that thing begins to get heated, the question is, what do you do with it?
Right, and so go ahead, guys, post in the chat status quos that you have experienced or that you think about or that you've heard. I like Karen just put in one, guys are going to be guys.
Y'all be okay.
What the heck does that mean?
Y'all will be okay.
What does that mean?
Right, like boys will be boys, like guys will be guys, meaning that, listen.
So that excuses the behavior, the inappropriate behavior of a man in a relationship because he's just a man.
Right, and that's what they do.
What does that mean?
Why is that acceptable? So my question, guys, at this particular point, are you dissatisfied with that status quo?
Right.
And if you are, it will help you to create a vision of what it should be in light of what it is. Right. Does that make sense? We're talking about framing your mindset when it comes to visioneering and being able to build a relationship. For those of y'all that just jumped on, I want y'all to click the link in the bio for Instagram, and for you guys on YouTube, you guys need to go to www.thecrcoach.com. Somebody do me a favor, put our website in the chat so that it is there for everybody to see, because I want you guys to sign up for a free discovery session, because on Tuesday, January the 7th, Sheri and I are going to be starting a training where we're going to have guest speakers. We're going to have people who have built some incredible relationships come and share with y'all strategy on how y'all did that. I'm done with this idea of I want what you got, and so I'm just going to hope that I get it. No, if I look at something that you're doing and it evokes an emotion in me, and I become passionate about wanting to see that in my life, here's what I need to become equally passionate with, and that is, how did you do that?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying, guys? So I don't need to know what you did per se. I need to know how'd you pull that off. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to put you guys in a room with people who are pulling off some things significantly, very successfully, and show you what right could look like in your life. And I promise you, it's going to change the game. And so one other status quo that I think that people have is that we keep secrets.
Right.
It's just understood.
Don't let the right hand see what the left hand doing.
Y'all ever heard that one? Don't let the right hand see what the left hand is doing. HUD on another level. Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in on Instagram. Welcome to Breakfast with the Brookses. That's a status quo.
Right. Let us know your government name
and
where you're joining us from on Instagram,
name.
So we know who you are, and we can address you more personally.
Absolutely. You get what I'm saying? Right. What's the date and time? Right.
Oh, they asking about the training. She asking about the training.
The training is going to be...
You'll get information. You're already in the MAPS community.
If you're in the MAPS community, we're going to
email. For those of you that are not in the MAPS community, need you guys to schedule a discovery session. Go to crcoach.com so that we can talk with you to try to see if we can get you into the group so that you can, this is only for individuals within the MAPS Relationship Academy. It's going to be, we're doing combined groups for the month of January. So our parents, couples, singles, men, women, all are going to be combined on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. throughout the month of January.
We're calling it Vision Month.
And we're doing Vision Month, and we're going to be talking about visioneering, how to visioneer your relationships, how to visioneer your marital relationships, your dating relationships, your parenting relationships, your family relationships.
Exactly.
How to create a vision for your relationships, and that's what we're going to be talking about.
So right now we're talking about the status quo of...
I'm looking at some of these comments they put in.
Please don't look at the comments right now because we need to stay focused, baby. The vision forms in the hearts of those that are dissatisfied with the status quo. And guys, what I want to know is, what are you dissatisfied with? What status quo are you dissatisfied with, right? It's going to be what it's going to be. Pino, I love that.
Right.
It's going to be what it's going to be. That's the status quo that many people will embrace. Right. As a result of that, it never becomes what it should be.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
It is what it is. No, hold up.
Right.
Shouldn't you become dissatisfied with that?
Right.
Why should it be is what it is? Now, I do understand some of the sentiment behind that. And that sentiment is simply this, Sheri, and I need you to stay focused, babe, because I want you to dialogue with me. The comments are going to come. We'll get a chance to go back at them and reread them. The turtle in you is getting super detailed right now. I need you to vibe with me for a sec. But when Pino says something like, in a relationship, it will be what it will be.
Right.
That will cause you to settle for what it should be.
Right. Because you're saying basically it's just wait and see what happens.
Right.
Just.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I was this way when you met me.
Right.
That's a problem. Listen. If you're dating somebody, if you're in a relationship with somebody who is cool with the notion of saying, well, this is me. I'm not going to change. I've been this way since you've known me. It is what it is. That's a problem.
Right, because the reality is that every human being is a living, breathing organism, and you should grow and you should evolve over time. Now, it does not mean that you're at your core, you change who you are, but if there are areas that you need growth and they're brought to your attention, there are areas that you need to make some adjustments because none of us are perfect. We all have errors. We all have kinks in our armor. And so if someone brings to your attention that there's an error, you have a deficiency in an error, and they bring that to your attention.
Well, I was that way when you met me.
Well, I'm sorry.
It is
I'm sorry
what it is.
you don't like
sorry
that.
You don't like that, but
that's
hey,
just me.
What you want me to do?
And they're not willing to grow. They're not willing to work on it. That's a problem. So when they come to you and talk about, well, it is what it is, like, okay, it is what it is, and it can be what it is over there with you.
Right.
Because it ain't going to be, it is what it is.
Because I'm dissatisfied. And again, the word becomes, I am dissatisfied with the status quo.
Right. That's not acceptable for me.
HUD on another level said, that's how I always have done it. I love that. Instagram, I appreciate y'all's engagement here. Guys, when you are in relationship with someone who is cool with the idea of, well, I've always done it that way. And so why, in other words, what they're saying is, why should I change? Because here is the problem. The myth that they are under at this particular point is that what got me here, listen to me carefully, will get me there.
Right.
And that's not true.
Right. And it's also a sign of they're not being teachable.
Yes.
Because if they're saying, that's how I've always done, that means they're not open to learn new things. They're not open to trying new things. This is the way that I do it. This is the right. My way is right. My way or the highway. All that falls into that same category. So if they're satisfied with things being that way, that means this is a person who's not open to learning.
Absolutely.
That's not, and so there's never going to be a point in time in the relationship where you're going to ever be able to give them constructive criticism and them receive it because I'm right.
Yeah.
I already, the way that I do things is right. So, that's how you do it, but this is how I've always done it. And there's no problem with the way that I've done it. And I'm not willing to try another way. I'm not willing to look at it from a different perspective. It's showing that they're closed-minded.
And the problem with closed-mindedness in relationships is, listen to me carefully, guys. Imagine if you were in an environment where you could not come and go. You were locked into a situation and you couldn't come and go as you please. That's a closed environment. One of the reasons why people, particularly in the very beginning, used to really love Apple products is that it was a closed environment, right? You could not get viruses easily because it wasn't susceptible to everything outside. Well, the problem with a closed environment is if the environment is not healthy and you're closed up in it, there will be no growth there.
Right, and it's limiting.
And it's limiting. And so that's why a lot of people opted not to be involved with products, and I'm just using Apple as an example, but from a technology standpoint, I want to be on some kind of platform that allows me the ability to move and shake and connect and things like that. So in a relationship, the way that looks is that if I'm in a relationship and they have said things like, that's how I've always done it, what that tells me is that they are not willing to be open-minded enough to change or even consider it. And that's a problem because in a relationship, guys, relationships should grow. And I want y'all to put this in the chat. Growth is actually attractive.
Right.
The reason why I'm still attracted, listen to this very carefully, to my wife is because she's continued to grow. It has nothing to do with her physical appearance in that regard.
Right.
I was attracted to the physical appearance 20 years ago, so that's not going to change. Does that make sense? How is it that I continue to be more and more attracted to her the older we get? The reason why is because she's continuing to show me a new her. Mm-hmm. It's always different. Every 5 years, this woman goes through a metamorphosis and she becomes a different person. She's constantly evolving. So even when here we are celebrating the fact that she's getting ready to get her second degree here in a couple of days, the truth of the matter is that is attractive to me. I'm saying, whoa, I get goosebumps thinking about her success because it's attractive. Well, when you're in a closed relationship that does not allow room for growth, you also are in a relationship that does not allow room for attraction. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? And so when we get this Visioneering piece done next month, guys, and we start this, I hope you guys join us. Do me a favor, click on the link and go to thecrcoach.com and be able to sign up for a free discovery if you're not a part of the Maps Relationship Academy, because every Tuesday starting January the 7th, we're going to be launching in the month of January this idea of visioneering your relationships. One more, and maybe we'll get ready to get out of here, is how about we do this one? Your money,
my money.
My money.
You got your money, I got my money.
You got your money, I got my money.
This relates to marriages in particular.
Particularly in marriages.
If your money is not...
Listen.
You get married. People get married, but their money doesn't.
Say it again.
People get married, but their money doesn't.
One more time for all the people in the nosebleed section.
People get married, but their money doesn't. And that creates a myriad of challenges in a relationship. Finance is one of the number one reasons why individuals get divorced.
Yes.
And part of that is because of a separation in the finances. If you're coming together as husband and wife and you're supposed to come together as one unit, how can your finances be separate?
So much so, listen, I want to add this piece because I know we can ready to start a fire right here. And so much so, and what we're talking about more so than the physical finances being separated, because you could make an argument that there are practical reasons why they physically should be separated. Right. What we're really talking about is the mentality of what you do is your business and what I do is my business.
And also to the mentality, and this, a lot of women have heard this. Your mama's done told you, make sure you keep yours over here. Little something over here. Just because if it ever go... And they say, keep this over here so if you ever need to leave. The fact that you are operating off of that statement, that's a seed that's planted in your head that I got a little stash if I ever need to leave.
That's a status quo.
That shouldn't even be an option, that if I'm ever going to leave.
Yep.
So the fact that you keep that for that purpose means that you got an exit strategy.
And I'm going to tell you, what's dangerous about an exit strategy in a relationship, here's what you're guaranteeing your relationship, that you're going to have an opportunity to exercise that. Mm-hmm. Let me say this to you guys so super clear. I recognize that if I was going to make this marriage work, where the other one didn't, I had to go through a metamorphosis and become a different person. Because what I recognize is that I was the problem. Probably 90% of the problems we had in our marriage was because of the way I thought and I processed and I moved. And so if the problem, having assessed myself through therapy and the whole nine, was me, then if I'm going to make this next thing work, I got to change me. And if I don't, here's what I'm going to guarantee. It's going to end up the way the other one did.
Right.
That's a guarantee at that particular point. Does that make sense? So right. I want you guys to really understand that if you are okay with status quo, what you're doing is that you're guaranteeing that your relationship won't change.
Right. And real quick, I do want to go through some of you guys, the comments that you guys posted, but also just want to remind you, a lot of this is perception. It's your mindset. If you have adopted a lot of these status quo mindsets in your relationship,
we're going to call it ghetto logic. That's what we're going to call it. I told you we're going to have some fun with this.
Right. If you have adopted these things, you have to remember that it creates a mindset. And when you have a mindset, like now, I want to make a disclaimer. So as far as the whole my money, your money, if you are in an abusive relationship, and you're trying to build up money so that you can escape that situation, when I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you guys are in a relationship. It's a fairly healthy, functional relationship. But when you guys get married from the jump, you're stashing your little something on the side.
Yeah.
So that you have an exit plan.
Just
in case. That's what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about if there's a real reason why you need to be having something.
We're not talking about the fact that, let's say you come into the relationships, I'm a business owner, right?
Right, and you got
I'm
a separate
running
business
a business.
account.
I got a business account. I'm running things. I'm not dealing with that. I'm dealing with a mindset that says you are not allowed to even know what I got happening.
Right, and you can physically, logistically, you could physically have separate bank accounts, but you have to pool. If you guys don't come together, pool your resources together to take care of the household. Like I said, it's the knowledge. I know what's in your account. You know what's in my account. Okay, we're gonna pay this. We're gonna do this together. You're working together, but it's when you have that mindset that literally it's like, okay, you keep your check, I keep my check. You don't even know how much I make. I don't know how much you make. I'm doing whatever I want with my money. I'm coming home one day and I done bought me a Lexus and you like
right.
From?
Well, that's my money.
It's my money. I can do with it what I want. You're not having conversations about it, and that's what breeds.
Say that word again, please.
That's what breeds contention in a relationship with the finances and can create problems. Now, even in a situation where one spouse could be making significantly more than the other, and say they're covering all of the household things, and they're saying, you can spend your money how you want to. There still is a level of understanding.
Correct.
There's communication that's going on.
Correct.
That's what we're talking about, the ability to have those communications where it's not that you don't even talk about finances. If something happens dangerous. And, I'll kick in or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. That's my money.
Right.
Like, really?
Absolutely. Because at this particular point now, because of the lack of communication, guys, what's happening is that if I'm covering, and we see this all the time as coaches, where you guys have divided up who's going to be responsible for what bills in the house, right? But if there's no communication about that,
right.
Here's the problem. When something goes wrong, because there's no communication, you now are assuming that this other person can get your back because you've either made a mistake or something didn't happen properly, or maybe there's a loss of income or whatever the case may be. But because there's no communication, there's no strategy built for that. Mm-hmm. There's no vision for that. And so you're going to throw somebody off big time within the relationship, which then breeds contention in the sense of, so why are you not willing to bail me out? And it causes you guys to reset in areas where you should not be resetting. You should be barreling through that obstacle together, because now there has to be a major meeting of the minds in order to make that happen. It is hard for the minds to come together when you've not learned to communicate and see things from each other's perspective on a regular basis. HUD on another level says, makes sense. That means you're going into the relationship expecting problems, issues, or causing them, and that's exactly right. I submit this: why get married if you got to go through that kind of level of separatism when you're living, when you're together? I really think that that's a question that needs to be asked. Why are we doing this? Mm-hmm. If we're going to live that separate, mentality-wise, Sheri, why do we even need to be together?
Right.
Let's just agree that we can be friends, or whatever the case may be, because that kind of drama doesn't just go away.
Right.
That stuff gets bad, it festers, and depending on the person's character, it can go to places that, quite frankly, guys, it will be the demise of your relationship. Guys, we're going to get out of here for today. Is there any more questions?
I'll go back to this real quick. Okay, so some of the status quos, now I can't find them, that some of you guys shared. Look, I'm trying to see. I can't see. Give me a second.
So while she's looking for a couple of status quos that you guys mentioned, I just want to remind everybody that if you're not a part of the MAPS community, go to www.thecrcoach. It stands for Constant Relationship. That's CR. thecrcoach.com. thecrcoach.com. Click on free discovery session. Set up a free discovery session with myself. It may be Sheri, depending on who's available. And what we're going to basically do is spend about 15 minutes together on the phone, figure out what your needs are, what it is, how can we best help you, and does the MAPS Relationship Academy make sense for you? More than likely, if you're on this feed here on YouTube or IG, it's probably going to be a fit on a lot of levels. But I want to have the discussion, because one of the things that we love about our MAPS community is that there's a culture there of fixing stuff forward. We have a culture within that community of support and love and no judgment because people come into the community. What I'm talking about with you guys in terms of casting vision, I do with them. So we treat the relationships in that community like something that's cohesive because they need to add value to each other. We don't need people in that community who already thinking jacked up and they have no desire to change that way of thinking. We're not interested in working with people like that. And the reason why is because we are going to press your perspective. I promise you, we're going to talk about things that you've never heard of probably or have never seen worked out. And you're going to have to come in willing to make adjustments to be able to work things out. And that's why we've been able to be so successful, I think.
Right. And this one particular status quo was what I wanted to go back to. And Teresa shared this. And it's what goes on in this house stays in this house.
That's a status quo statement.
That has to do with perspective. It has to do with mindset. And when individuals subscribe to that, it goes back to, like Glenn was saying, your relationship stays in a silo.
Right.
It's just the two of you, so you keep that. And that's one thing with us in the Master Relationship Academy that we try to encourage individuals, that you need a community. You can't have a successful relationship by yourself. When you are trying to have a relationship and it's just your perspective, the perspective of the two of you, you often miss blind spots. You often miss things. But when you're involved in a healthy community with other individuals that are going in the same direction as you, that have the same vision.
We call it a tribe.
Right, for a healthy and functional relationship, you're able to get insight, you're able to gain new perspectives, and you're able to grow in your relationship, and you're able to take your relationship to another level.
Yep.
When you stay in that silo, when you stay in that closed-in cocoon of your relationship, that's when we often fall into, accepting these status quos because you're not exposed to, there's a different way to look at it. There's a different perspective. Maybe we can do this differently and things can be different. We don't have to just settle. And I think a lot of times people get in relationships, get in marriages, and they just settle for this is all it's supposed to be.
Yep.
I believe that your marriage can be as great or as wonderful as you ever imagine it to be, but it takes work to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to always be great. It's not going to always be fantastic. You're going to have moments. You're going to have challenges, because whenever you bring two people together, you're rubbing lives with each other. And because you're two individuals, you're going to have different thoughts, different opinions, different ideas about things throughout the course of your life. So you're going to bump heads at times. But if you learn the skills to be able to overcome those skills, how to work through those things, I believe you can work through any challenge in a relationship if you both are willing to do the work and are willing to invest in the relationship, and you're in community with other people that can point out to you. We all need somebody to pull us up every now and be like,
right, we call it,
dude, you need to get yourself in order, or sweetie,
right,
that was wrong. You shouldn't have said that to him the way you said that to him. And be open to hear that and open to receive it.
Yeah, we call it speaking, or giving people permission to speak into your blind spots. And I know that sounds kind of weird because a blind spot denotes that you can't see.
But you can't see.
And the problem is that there are a lot of people that are aware that they have a blind spot and they can't see. But the problem is that you have nobody that you've given permission to see what you can't see, and give them permission to speak to you and speak to that issue. It's no different than the person that refuses to allow anybody in the car to tell them where they may be going wrong, right? And if I'm looking into my rearview mirror, I'm recognizing I have a blind spot. But if Sheri doesn't have the permission to say, did you see that car behind us? Or da-da-da. I'm like, there have been plenty of times where you've said that. I'm like, nah, I never even saw that. Thanks for letting me know. But she has permission to speak into my blind spot, so it allows me to become aware. And then, here's a trick. You go from self-awareness to self-management. Guys, we're going to jump up out of here for today. I hope that this has helped you. If it has, put hashtag we all need some help in the chat. We all need some help, y'all, because I promise you, you cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. I'm so sorry. That's a myth. That's a status quo.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
I don't
know the rest of the words.
Happy holidays.
But listen, y'all have a great Christmas, great Kwanzaa, great Hanukkah. If that's what you do, appreciate you guys. Thanks, Pino. I'm glad that helped you. Guys, listen, what breaks my heart is when I see people's relationships come unglued unnecessarily. That breaks my heart. What breaks my heart for parents is when I see children that have to grow up and then recover from their childhood because of the trauma that they lived through as children. And so I promise you guys, at the end of the day, we all need some help. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great Saturday and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.